Hey interwebs, this is Boyd, and
Not Boyd? Oh, I'm Paul. Hey.
either works. Hey, sorry it's been a while. We haven't had a video up in a couple of weeks, mainly because some of us have lives. Asshole.
Oh, I'm responsible for several children, so
That he knows of.
making babies.
So today's video, we decided we were going to talk about some movies that we love. Or we each have picked 5 that we think are pretty freaking awesome movies.
At the very least, better than the consensus.
Yeah. These are movies that most people, if you would say, hey, I watched this movie last night. Why? That movie sucked. Because I enjoyed it, that's why.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, did we ever come up with a title for this? It's just, let's go! Okay.
Oh yeah. Woo!
Who wants to go first?
You go ahead.
Alright. Number 5. I'm going from least to greatest. That's the way I do my thing.
These are movies that other people hate that we love.
Superman Returns. You kicked the damn thing again.
It's a trademark.
Superman Returns.
I like that movie.
I love Superman.
You know I like that movie.
I thought, was it the best Superman movie? No, I think the original Superman is definitely the best Superman movie. And it's sad that this is the last Superman movie we've had. But, you know, it is what it is. Maybe one day they'll make another good one. But I thought it was a good follow-up to the Donner movies and the Chris, that Brandon Routh played a good Christopher Reeves.
He did. He especially his Clark Kent.
Yeah,
was very classic. Oh, how's it going? You know, it was very mild mannered, meek, not wet behind the ears kind of guy. It was more what he was going for. It was great. That's Bryan Singer's love letter to classic Superman movies.
Yeah, and it kind of to me talks about. It speaks to the public's perception of a movie nowadays. Like, everyone's big complaint, it's boring, there's no big fight scene in it. Why does there have to be?
Yeah, because
there was no big fight scene in the original Superman.
No, it was all about identity. I think that's a big thing of Superman is, not the struggle to find oneself, but
I would argue that. I mean, that's definitely can be, you can put that in the movie a little bit, but this isn't Spider-Man. Spider-Man is all about identity.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Superman is about hope and truth, justice, and the American way.
And then being,
you can play on that. You can talk about the fact that he's an outsider.
He also has to be true to himself, and that's the one sort of question mark looming over his head is, am I a human? Am I a Kryptonian? Am I both? And out of all those,
But see, that's the thing for me. Superman's always, he's always, whether he's Clark Kent or he's Superman, he doesn't have an alter ego. He's both. Yeah. Batman has an alter ego.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne is the alter ego.
True.
Superman, when he takes the glasses off to protect his identity and protect those he loves, but I don't really feel like he changes anything. But anyway,
he's always the same in terms of morality.
And who played Luthor? Was it Kevin Spacey? Kevin Spacey was pretty freaking awesome as Luthor. I liked how he kind of still cheesed it up a little bit.
Yeah, he how he berated his sidekicks.
Yeah.
He was very Gene Hackman in that. But then when he was serious, he was his own entity. It was cool.
Now, that being said, I will harsh on the movie a little bit. There did seem to be, this was supposed to take place in present day, I think. Yeah, because there's one kid, takes a picture of him on his phone. But, Luthor's girlfriend still dressed like it was the 40s
so did Lois Lane, yeah, everybody kind of had
not even Lois. Lois dressed in a pantsuit, I think.
Yeah, but it was the color scheme too. Kind of looked very.
I guess I didn't think I can't think of the actress name. I didn't think
Parker Posey.
Parker Posey. I didn't think she was a very good Lois Lane.
Oh no! That was Luthor's sidekick.
Oh.
Yeah, I forgot the.
She would have been a better Lois Lane than.
That's a damn good point. Let's get Bryan Singer on that. Man of Steel 3. Nah, kidding.
No, what's Man of Steel?
Oh, I don't know, boy.
So what's number 5 on your list?
Man of Steel, boy.
Are you kidding me? Did you really put Man of Steel on the list?
No, I didn't. Number 5 on my list is Blair Witch 2: Book of Shadows.
Oh, I love that movie.
I'm kind
of mad I didn't put that on my list.
When people talk about hating that movie, I first off I don't get it.
It's brilliant too.
I don't get the hate for the first film. I get how people could be indifferent to it because it's just.
It's not the first film. I'm
It's
glad.
not, yeah. Well, the first one is found footage.
Love or hate the first movie. You could not make that movie again and have it be successful. Although I say that, and they've made what, 5 Paranormal Activities. At this
Yeah,
point,
and they're okay too. I don't hate them.
I've actually never seen those. They just don't interest me.
The first 3 are kind of brilliant, but at least effective. But that kind of goes back to the first Blair Witch, is that it's not so much good or bad as it is an experience. And what really got around from that movie wasn't whether it was good or bad. It was just the buzz. Like, is it a real film? Is it this? Is it that? Is it the other thing? And that's what the sequel was about, was the buzz. It was about this culture of hype surrounding the Blair Witch Project, and it took it and just right to its logical conclusion, and then they flipped the script and made it its own thing as well. Pretty freaking genius move, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. And the really interesting thing to me is, like, there's all these little Easter eggs in the movie that I never even knew about for years.
Yeah.
Like, you'll like some girl, like she's like sitting in front of a tombstone, and then like camera goes away, camera comes back, and the name is different.
Yep.
And if you at first glance you're like, oh man, they really screwed up there, but no, it's actually done on purpose.
Yeah.
And it, like if you take all these little things and like add it together, it like spells a name.
Sorry.
But yeah, Book Shadows.
Well, and then there's also a reverse featurette. I won't go into it, but if you haven't seen it, or at least haven't given it a shot, look deeper into the movie, because it's almost a satire, but it's also its own thing. It's really good.
Yeah.
I think it's phenomenal. And then you go back and read about what it was intended to be and how it was kind of neutered by the studio, and it could have been even better staple of American horror. But c'est la vie. You go.
All right.
You go now.
Number 5. This one I really don't get. Terminator Salvation.
I haven't seen it.
Really?
Yeah,
We need to watch that. Maybe we'll do a
I thought the trailer was very enticing, and they used that
love it.
remix of that Nine Inch Nails song, "The Day the World Went Away," and I was like, that's pretty effective, man. I like that a whole lot.
At the very least, it's better than 3, and I like 3. And,
Campy goodness. It's
well, it's not. 3 was campy goodness. This one was an action movie, and I thought it was awesome.
that's fine too.
I don't understand. The people are just
It's the Terminator. It's robots from the future. You don't really get philosophical about it.
yeah, I guess
You know,
so,
like that's it, if it is what it is, then so be it. I've never flat out said that I'll never watch it. I do want to see it.
We need to watch it. We'll do a video.
Sure, we'll do a review
about
for it. Yeah, all right.
There's not really a lot I can talk about the movie though, because I don't know what people hate about it. People just say they hate it, and they don't ever give a reason why.
It's a hype train, man. Just like people will say that, you know, if an artist or a movie had like a $20 million opening night, that somehow that constitutes it being good. Or if, you know, this singer sells, you know, 1 million records, that, hey, that means that it's good. No, it just means that people buy it. And that's all it means. It doesn't mean that it's good or bad. You'd have to kind of get into deeper thought processes in order to determine whether it's objectively good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, again, that sort of goes back to what you were saying. It's like you just don't understand how people could hate it.
It's fun.
Yeah,
It's fun. It's got a good story.
I like the cast.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the cast. Cool. All right. On number 4,
You remember 4?
Man of Steel.
No, come on, really?
Yeah.
Are you really?
I'm not going to get into it because I don't want to hear it from this guy.
All right, this is all I'm going to say.
No.
Man of Steel is the worst movie I have ever seen.
He's ever seen. Not the worst movie in existence. Not a Serbian film or Flowers of Flesh and Blood, the Guinea Pig series, or The Men Behind the Sun, where they show an actual dismemberment of an Asian child from a documentary. Or, again, in the Serbian film where they show the rape of a newborn.
Did they actually show it? I thought it was just
They show, like, enough. It's pretty bad. Anyways, but to qualify, worst movie he's ever seen. Do I think it's the best Superman film? No.
I've seen a lot.
Yeah. Do I think it's the best Superman film? No. I don't get the flat-out hate for it. I do
Which
get...
I've explained to him many times.
Many times, and still don't get it. I think that it is a relatable Superman, which a lot of people don't like. They want Superman to be this ideal that they can't really aspire to, because that's kind of the point of Superman, is that he's so far above humanity that all we can do is admire him and just hope for his good graces. Well, in this one, you kind of see a human element from him. He, at one point, right before Zod announces his arrival, Superman's just drinking a beer watching a football game. He's from the fucking Midwest. I mean, of course, he's going to be doing that because that's what people do from the Midwest, maybe. I mean, it's generalizing, but it's identifiably an American thing to do. Sipping on a brew, watching football. Happens a lot. So in that respect, I think what I should go on to say is that I really like the film. Do I get people's beef with it? Absolutely. I can't sit here and say that it's a good film. It's certainly not the best Superman film, but I like it a lot. And that's all I'm going to say. You're number 3?
You're out of the group.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, what?
You're out of the band, Paul.
Oh, man.
Red Destiny Artist.
Fudge. Yeah, you've heard these rings before. All right, go ahead.
Number 3, Super Mario Brothers.
Ah, interesting. That is an entertaining movie from start to finish.
I like it way more than I should.
I
really do.
It's like just pure sugar. I mean, it's not healthy.
I could complain, but I just can't. I don't know why. I love that movie so much.
It's so over the top when you're like, the Goombas are gangsters. And so, like, it's not so much they just did the Goombas wrong, they did the Goombas entirely different. And so, like, you're like, King Koopa isn't just a dinosaur, he is like a reptile humanoid played by...
He's an evolved T-Rex.
Coked up Dennis Hopper, and you're just like, well, shit, if you're going to go over the top, you've certainly done it in the best possible way.
Monkey.
It's great, though. I actually, well, I wouldn't say it's great. It is a fun movie.
It's so cheesy.
It's knee-slappingly hilarious and ridiculous, but that's also, I think...
I mean, who could have played Mario better than Bob Hoskins?
No, it was great. Oh, that's just the thing. Even John Leguizamo as Luigi, like, I was kind of like, I can see... Even as a kid, I was like, that makes perfect sense.
He needed a mustache, but other than that...
yeah, but... it's so far removed from the source material, and yet... so close. Like, it's close enough to be like, yeah, Yoshi's a dinosaur, but he's like poor animatronic freaking lovely raptor. You know, and it's just like...
He's still got the tongue.
Yeah, and I was like, it's kind of okay, whatever. And Princess, well, was it Daisy in the movie?
It was Daisy in the movie, yeah.
Is it a terrible movie? Yeah, it's a terrible movie in the same way The Room is terrible, but it's also...
No, it's not.
No. I mean, in that the directors probably thought they were making something legit.
That movie had like 5 directors or something?
Two of what I think. I don't know
maybe it was the writers. It had a bunch of writers.
But 2 directors, and I think they were related. But it's a great movie, man. I don't care what anybody says. I could watch it all day. I wouldn't, because I'd go crazy.
Okay, you're number 3.
I'm not gonna talk about the one that came before it, because this is another divisive issue, and I'm not gonna piss you off twice in one review. But The Dark Knight Rises. I've heard a lot of shit about the last Nolan Batman movie because of a sort of neutered ending and things not making sense, and it's just Batman and Bane punching each other for the whole movie.
Okay, here, all right. Here.
No. Let me make my point.
All right.
A lot of people I know do not like this movie. I think it's probably besides Batman Begins, it's the best Bruce Wayne movie. It is about him sort of finding out that he and Batman are the same person. You can't have one without the other, and even until the very end, that is, and it kind of goes off the grid. But one of the reasons why I actually like the fact that it was just him punching Bane in the face was that there's really no other way you can attack Bane. You can't outthink him. He's a genius. And
I think Catwoman had a pretty good way at the end.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Brute force.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. It's just like Batman, old and frail as he is, had to muster up every last bit of strength he had and just wail on the dude. And I was like, there's something sort of poetic about it. And even the scene where like he's in the bottom of the prison and climbs out, that's all very symbolic about a personal journey. And I think that people who took it super literally, which you can.
Well, for a movie where the point was it was supposed to be taken super literally, though.
And that's another thing too. That's one of the reasons why, again, I'll say that it's something that I like, but I also won't begrudge anyone for having their own opinion about it. I always took the Nolan Batman films with a grain of salt because that's kind of how you're supposed to take Batman. He's a comic book character, and to hyper-realize or make it hyper-realistic rather is not so much a detriment to the character, but you're gonna split the fan base. Case in point, I like The Dark Knight. He doesn't like The Dark Knight.
And that's a good segue into me talking about this movie.
Sure.
I hate The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Not as much as Man of Steel, but a lot. And it's hard to talk about it without people saying like, "Oh, Heath Ledger died," and okay.
Well,
I'm
so
sorry,
what? It doesn't make it
I'm
a
sorry
good.
he died. I'm sorry he died, and I thought he did a fairly good job portraying the Joker.
You mean Joker, not Joker?
Huh?
Joker, not Joker. Like he's not really the Joker, dude.
No, not really. I mean,
He is a clown type anarchist guy who is called the Joker, but he's not the Joker.
I'm not going to get into my problems with The Dark Knight. I'm just trying to make my point that I very much did not like it, and it had in a lot of when I talk about it, sure I'll talk about the Joker, but he was not the main reason. Anyway, skip ahead a few years, The Dark Knight Rises comes out, and unlike when Man of Steel was coming out, and I saw all this stuff that I was just like, oh, I'm not going to go see this movie. I did not want to go see Man of Steel. I was very much trying to avoid seeing it, but I finally had to just to shut certain people up.
It's true.
But I was still like, okay, well, hey, Rises is this weekend. I'm going to go see Rises. The Dark Knight Rises. And I'm really afraid that just how bad The Dark Knight was,
That the sequel was
it
gonna be.
affected how I viewed the sequel. And I try not to let stuff like that happen.
No, I can understand, like, a tainted, lingering taste in the mouth, of course.
And sure, I've got my issues with The Dark Knight Rises. Bane's mask, I didn't like his mask. The voice was okay.
I like the character. I thought he was pretty dead on.
The character was okay.
But yeah, the mask.
I don't understand why, like, the fact that Batman quit for 8 years.
Yeah,
made
due
no
to being
sense
emo
to me.
and stuff.
Like, Batman doesn't quit. Batman will be Batman until the day he dies.
Yeah.
I don't care if he is, being hunted by the police or whatever.
That's one of the more like realism elements that they put in that I wasn't okay with. I get why they did it though, was to make it impact more when he shows back up. I get it. It's
But 8 years?
8 years was a little bit ridiculous.
I mean, I
could
could understand
see-
maybe he had to take a couple months off or something because he hurt his knee.
Well, now
But
there's an exception to that rule, and that is the Dark Knight Returns, the comic where he does take time off. But again, that's a Frank Miller one shot, and it's sort of a what if.
All right, I guess it does kind of negate my point.
Well, at least in cinema.
But in the comics, in the Dark Knight Returns, was it like the world had become a police state or something?
Pretty much, where Batman felt useless, and
and
he became old and depressed and alcoholic, and then he gets mugged one night, and he's like, "Yeah, I remember why I became Batman was to stop people like this from coming out of the woodworks." And then, of course, there's an amazing scene with the Joker. It's great, awesome stuff. But anyways,
I can't really think of much more to say about Rises. I like Rises better than Dark Knight.
yeah, not as much as Batman Begins.
But the whole Nolan series as a whole, I just don't think is very good. When you try to make these characters and make them as realistic as possible, you kind of miss the point. Which is why I think the Marvel movie. I mean, the Marvel movies, they're just having fun with it. They're going crazy.
Yeah, and it's like it's not so much how Tony Stark is Iron Man. It's that he is Iron Man. In other words, as long as we just establish that, we can do whatever we want to with him.
And sure, they'll update things where things need to be updated, like Hawkeye.
Yeah,
Hawkeye doesn't have his classic costume in this movie, in those movies.
because it would look ridiculous.
Because it would look ridiculous, yes. But also, Hawkeye doesn't have an iconic costume like Superman.
He does it, or Captain America,
Or
which
Captain
I thought the
America.
way they introduced that was fucking awesome, dude. It was great.
Yeah.
Because it was a joke. It was. They actually took the fact they were like, people are going to think this costume is ridiculous. Hey, let's make it ridiculous, and then it became endearing.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, what's your
Okay, number 2. Already forgotten. Oh yeah. My second Dennis Hopper movie on my list, Waterworld.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I love Waterworld. It's kind of like Terminator Salvation. I don't understand why people hate it. It's a good movie. It's a fun movie. It's cheesy, sure, but that's not a problem.
I've only ever seen it once the whole
Really?
way through. A long time ago,
I've watched it tons of times.
And I didn't get the reason people hated it back then. The worst thing about it to me was that I found myself bored as a young person. But did I think that it was bad? No, it was overly ambitious. But I mean, at the same time, it's. I've known more people who like it than don't personally. I hear about a lot of shit getting slung that movie's way, but it's loved by a lot of people, man. So I don't know. Some people just hate out of necessity. They're like, oh, other people hate it, we'll hate it too, and that's kind of unfair because
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
There's not really much else to say about it though. It's
really,
it's an old movie. You haven't seen it yet. Go see it, but
it's fun.
Yeah.
You know Jack Black's in that movie?
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's like one of his earliest roles, and he's just like in it for like 5 seconds.
He was also in The Neverending Story 3.
That was after he kind of made a name for himself, though.
Really?
Well, I think he made it, then made a name for himself, and then they released it. It was.
Gotcha.
What was his first big movie?
Hell, I don't know.
We'll look it up. Doesn't matter. Not
King
far.
Kong? No, I'm kidding. Okay, we're ready for my number 4?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say the name of the
Why
movie.
did you take a deep?
No. You may not agree with me. You may. That's not. This isn't one of those things we've ever talked about. This is something from my childhood on that shows up in books that I read, movies I've watched, friends that I've had, and I'm not going to say anything too much about it because again, it's an older movie. Everyone's probably seen it. I'm just going to say that I don't like it, why I don't like it, and let that be the end of it. The Rocky Horror Picture Show. I don't like musicals, first off, unless they're done by Trey Parker and Matt Stone, because clearly they know how to do one. But the thing I don't like about the Rocky Horror Picture Show is that it is this cultural phenomenon that oh wait, I did mess up, didn't I?
Wait,
This is my flip side one. Okay,
wait, you put a really?
I put one I don't like. Yeah.
I was like, what the hell are you
Hey,
talking
hold on.
about?
We'll allow it.
Well, I'm gonna. All right.
I flipped the script, didn't I? About halfway through, I was like, movies I hate. Brr. But I was thinking about everybody else getting the fun of hating on a movie. All right.
Well, talk about it, man. I guess we're gonna talk about it.
I mean, I could do another one.
No, just don't mess up the flow. Go.
All right. So my last, or this one in particular, is.
Well, no, talk about Rocky Horror.
I am no.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
saying that I don't know why I did this, but I did it. Rocky Horror Picture Show everybody else likes. I don't like.
I'm not a big fan of it, but I like it. I don't like all the songs.
No, and it's a funny movie, but I think it's just that it's become this like cultural phenomenon that everybody thinks like we have to see it 157 times, we have to reenact it, we have to do all this.
If you're into it.
If you're into it, but again, I'm like, how much can you wring the source material dry? And it's also, breaking taboos, which I get, but the fact that it has this lingering cult following is really bizarre to me. Like, it should have died out within 10 years of its release, but to this day, people still do Rocky Horror Picture Show reenactments.
I've never gone and I've seen it. I've never gone to a midnight showing that they do sometimes. I would be opposed to going though. If someone
I've known too many people who've tried to drag me, and they always describe it, and it just sounds like shit to me. And I'm just, I don't know why that one thing is what I'm saying. It's it's the time warp and freaking Dr. Scott, whatever fucking Rocky. It seems way like too much like they're trying too hard. And again, I know that it broke taboos in the past, and good for them. It's great.
It's got Tim Curry in it, and I love Tim Curry.
That is the one reason that keeps me from, finding every last copy and setting it on fire, because Tim Curry's awesome. But yeah.
And Meatloaf.
That's also true. You go, man.
So wait, is your last one also a movie you hate?
No. It's a movie I like that other people have really pissed on.
Okay, this one's going to surprise you.
Oh.
It's going to surprise anybody who knows me. Godzilla 1998.
Oh, that. Well, no. It doesn't surprise me. We've talked about this before. How it's a fun monster movie.
It is a fun monster movie. It's not a good Godzilla movie.
No.
It's not a good movie much either. It is a little. I watched it right before I went and saw the new 2014 Godzilla movie, which was amazing.
Mm-hmm. But scene for
It's
scene,
dated a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe that's another thing that's really fun about it is it felt like a 90s movie when I watched it.
Oh, it's such a 90s movie.
And the 90s was this brand new frontier of like realistic CGI, and I think that's one of the reasons why they wanted to do it was like, oh, we can do a Godzilla that looks real, and not so much, but
Not so much anymore.
it is a fun and funny movie. It's got a lot of humor, and it's a little bit more lighthearted. I think that where the new one was not a remake, but in the vein of the original Gojira.
Mm-hmm.
The 98 one was in the vein of the more cheesy movies. Like, how can we take the cheesy and make it more palatable for U.S.
In
audience?
certain ways, though, I'd say the new one is even more in vain with the cheesy ones. In certain aspects. All right, spoilers. Not major ones, but just tonal spoilers. Godzilla's the hero, and
True.
Sure, he's not coming to wreck shit. He's coming to save the day,
Yeah, he's coming to.
and they don't hide that. But anyway. Yeah, Godzilla '98. I mean, it's Godzilla in name only, but it's a decent monster movie.
That's my thing. It is a pretty decent monster movie. And again, man, it's fun. I thought it was fun.
I guess part two of the main reasons I'm still pretty kind of a fan of it is one, it's actually the movie that got me into Godzilla movies. I'm a huge Godzilla fan. I'd only seen like 2 or 3 before that one came out, and then when that one came out, I got super kind of pumped for it, and then like everyone started re-releasing the movies. So then I bought them all up and I watched them a lot of them for the first time.
And you saw where
Where it came from, and I'm like, oh, yeah. The other part is the monster who is now called Zilla within the fandom. No, Zilla is the official title of the monster. Is owned by Toho, the Japanese company, and has appeared in a Godzilla movie. He fights Godzilla. Zilla fights Godzilla in Godzilla Final Wars,
which is
in the current comic book series. He's appeared, done by IDW, which are pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my list. I love those movies.
Last one for me is a movie that has been exposed more and more as being a movie that is terrible, but that I still like, and I found myself enjoying as I was watching it and wanting to see another movie, and that was Prometheus. Prometheus gets a lot of flack from my friends and people that I know, and especially like Red Letter Media or certain critics, but as a concept,
I get it though.
As a concept, it is very, very interesting. Is it flawless? Hell no. But it made me want to know more and more and more and more and more. Blame that on David Lindelof if you want to. But for all the loose ends in that movie, there were enough that were at least touched upon or tied up that made it very gratifying for me and made me want to watch it again, and certainly made me want to see where the story's going.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, I thought that Prometheus was very enjoyable, and it was Ridley Scott's return to very, very believable sci-fi. He's the man at making sci-fi seem, right in your face kind of.
Yeah.
Well, that's just what he does. So.
But did David know what the black goo was going to do, or was it just a secret asshole? Sorry, Red Letter Media.
Yep.
I couldn't help myself.
No, but they were right.
The movie's good. I think it's a fun movie. I do totally get people's problems with it.
I totally do, but it doesn't ruin it for me.
For me, part of it was like the mysteries, like the questions that were raised, is part of the fun. Trying to figure out why.
Yeah.
I spent days arguing, not arguing, but discussing with you and with our friend Ken.
Yeah.
Just like exactly what was going on in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, what did this mean? What did this mean? No, that's not what that means because this happened over here.
Yeah.
And I had a ball doing just that.
Yeah.
And
the movie was very symbol heavy too, so it's cool, man. Everybody knew it was going to be this sort of xenomorph universe prequel Everyone knew also that it was not going to be a literal prequel, and so the expectations were right for the kind of movie that it was, and I thought that it paid off. And that again, it made me want to see more of where it's going. So, hooray!
Yeah. Well, I guess that kind of covers it for me.
Yeah, man.
For you.
I'm good.
Well,
Four that I like and one I don't.
why did you?
I think when I was writing my list down, I was just like thinking about, yeah, people don't like this. People don't like this. People don't like this. Why do people like this? And I was like, fucking Rocky Horror Picture Show, stupid shit. And I was like, oh yeah, Prometheus, I like that.
Well, I mean, I guess it's fair. I did talk about a couple of movies I hate that everybody seems to love.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us again. You can follow me on Instagram at Mecha Manjikra. You can